Welcome back to the series called Profit or Loft. I go up into my loft or attic, depending on where you are from around the world. Take a look at broken games consoles that I've put up there because I've not been able to fix due to inexperience or not had time to, and then see if I can fix them and sell them on for a little bit of profit. Today's definitely going to be one of those ones that you can get your teeth stuck into. I have a suspected Nintendo Switch with an APU issue. Typically, I've avoided these in the past because they just take too much time to work on. But I'm going to see if I can fix something today that I wasn't able to fix a while ago. APU transplant, bad FPC, trace issues, fix stream. What do I mean here? Bad FPC. Which FPC is bad? Trace issues. Which traces? APU transplant. This is not looking good. I need to inspect this before I go any deeper because there's been a lot of issues with this. So just general board inspection and looking at it, right? What am I looking at? Oh my gosh. This is another one whereby I'm assuming what I had is the issue with the display and missing certain voltages. And what I need to do is take the APU from this and put it onto another board. Now, I'd done a free fix, which was technically my best repair ever. I think it was that one. And on that one, I had the exact same issue, but I didn't know that I had one like this before. So this must be a common issue whereby like something goes wrong in the board and it messes the board up. Now, what I need to make sure here is that when I take this off, that I have the pads and traces that I need on the APU and that the APU is actually okay. So I've got, basically, I need to take this off. Let me just remove the battery. But I need to take the eMMC off and put that over there because that's going to pair with the APU. So I now need to take the APU and put it onto another switch. Honestly, I don't know how long this one's been around for, by the way. I have no idea. This could be years. So what I'm saying with this one is that the board itself, the traces are cooked. The internal traces are cooked. Because what I've done is I line them up with underneath the APU. And I have done a fix like this before with the customer's device that was a free fix. And I kept going and going and going. And I said, I'm just going to try and put the APU on another board and see what happens. Because the customer, I'd reached out to the customer of the free repair and said, look, it's gone because I need to do a APU transfer and I'm not confident on that. And they said, it's fine, just scrap the board anyway. So when they said scrap the board, I went, okay, I wonder if I could do it for the customer, if that's how they truly feel about it and they just want to scrap it. So then I went ahead and done the transfer and then sent it back to them fixed. So I know that I've fixed this before. And what essentially the fault was, if I recall correctly, which is the same as this one, is that we don't have certain voltages under this connector. So what turns out to be just like a no display, actually, it's bent traces in the board from the APU. So the APU sends signals to some of these traces and they don't get received. If I remember correctly, it was like this one and it was like 5. I think it was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's this one and a bunch of others. So technically, wait a minute then, before I actually get deep with this, a quick word from today's video sponsor, PCBWay. Are you somebody who needs custom parts quick time? PCBWay makes it ridiculously easy with their instant quote tool. Just upload your Gerber files for the PCB and you are ready to go. The customization on this website is unmatched. They don't just do PCBs either. They offer CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and even injection molding. It's all there for the taking. And if you're personally stuck for ideas on what to make or just love a good browse, check out their shared projects and online shop, packed with community builds and parts ready to order. Hit the link in the description and give it a try. If I plug this into a battery, I should see it boot. And if I do see it boot, I'll put it into a new one. So let's check, because otherwise I'll be wasting my time. It depends. I'll also do it if it does say 470 milliamps, because if it says 470 milliamps straight away off the bat, it's probably just going to be a bad APU and we might just have some bad contacts underneath. So I'll try it anyway. Let's see. That's straight 480. Can you see that? That's a bad APU. It might be the contacts, but it might not be. So this could be an utter waste of time. Now, usually what happens in these scenarios is that the pads underneath the APU are ripped. So I'll take the APU off and I'll see how bad they are. But I think I'll be able to take the APU from this and put it onto another board. I think I just signed up for your school. Let's go. How much is your course? My course for the fundamentals is $25, which is £18. The other courses I had were up for $60 and $70, and they won't be changing the prices because they are specific repairs. And the idea of those is that if you're a little bit more advanced, but you don't really know how to do a Nintendo Switch USB-C port or a PS5 HDMI port that can earn you good money, that's why I charge $60 or $70 for those, because by the end of that course, technically, you should be able to go out and charge that for a job. But when it comes to the fundamental side of things, it's not a course in Ohm's law. It's not a course in how electrons work. It is a fundamentals course of how I use a multimeter, how I diagnose and fault find on Nintendo Switches. So I put it at $25, and we've had a good amount of sales so far. A good amount of sales. So what I'm doing first is clearing out all of the thermal paste I have on the APU because it just makes for a messy job, right? So I take a Q-tip and I try that. And then I come in with some IPA and a toothbrush to just get in between the caps and everything on the board. And I'll just finalize with a microfiber cloth. I'm going to inspect the board. No breaks where I thought we'd have breaks. Typically, we're looking at here and here. But it doesn't look like we had any breaks. Clean pull. Looks good. That's got an M92 T36 as well, so I'll keep that board. Looks like a fresh one. The only thing now is that I need to know exactly what board I can use as a donor, you know? How's the actual APU looking? That's another question, isn't it? Where's pin 1? So I can line it up with the board. Pin 1's up there. So technically, pin 1's up here. We should have here, this side, some damage. If we were going to have damage. That looks okay, if you ask me. Can't see any damage there. Some loose balls. Now, this went to 480. This went precisely to 480. So I do wonder if the APU itself is faulty, and I just kind of misdiagnosed looking at this previously, because it might have been in my earlier days. Well, it definitely was in my earlier days, because I haven't seen that in such a long time. But I could have really misdiagnosed, but we can find that out relatively soon. I also now need to try and find another donair that I can use for an APU transplantation. I was going to go with this one, but this is the one. This is what I wanted to show you as an example of one that doesn't work. And you see that we've got the pad set down here missing, so I can't use this as a board, unfortunately. But what I can do again is use that as a donor, so that could be a donor as well. So let me put that there. So these are donor boards, as is this one. That's a donor board as well. I need to try and find a board that is just going to be... Okay, all right, so this is an interesting one, right? Has anybody had it before? This one says blows M92. Does anybody know if that's a fault with APU or not? I wonder if I plug this in now, what the situation is. So is this shorted? Has anybody had that before? Has anybody had a switch? Because I've had that so many times. But I say so many, on probably on one hand, where you've got M92 T36, you replace it and it blows. I've said on here, blows M92. There we go. And here. 7 ohms. 7.8. 6.8. That's two different rails. And that's blowing M92 T36. What's blowing M92 T36? Like, because I don't want to use this board if I transfer the APU and then... Like, is that a faulty APU? Tell you what I might do. You know what I might do? Let me take off this and see if there's a short on the board still. Because technically, right, there should still be a short on the board. This might be a nice little repair for me if I can work it out. Whoa. That was suctioned down as well. Let me get that cap back on. What would be good is to find one that has a short on that cap, hey? That'd be amazing. That's what I'll probably look out for. Okay, let me check now. Do we still have a short? No. Okay, 370 on that. Okay, no shorts around M92 T36. I even removed these. Fuse fine. BQ. BQ all good. Maybe the port? Did I put a new port on this? Looks it, hey? That looks like a new port to me. Looks like a new port. Underneath. I'm kind of tempted to test it and see if M92 does blow. Would I be a fool to do that? To like test another M92? If I've put blows M92 here, would I be a fool to go ahead and put another M92 T36 on? What do you think? I feel like Zach in one of his recent streams that was like, one more chip. 16 ohms, that's fine, it's low impedance. Job's all round though so far. Happy with how it looks. Happy with how I would have done this previously. So I haven't got any shorts on here. Let me check around the max IC, because that's also linked to M92 T36. See if we've got any shorts around here. This is low impedance. 23 ohms. Looks to be all good. IMO. I'm just worried that I've got a short on the port. Where's my USB-C tester? Because that could definitely be a reason as to why it keeps blowing, is if I've got a short on the port. Let me put in my USB-C tester and see if anything's coming back shorted. Oh, we've got a few OLs that shouldn't be OLs. I don't trust the port on this. That's where I currently stand. Let me show you what a good port should look like. So that's how it should look. We've definitely got a few issues there. So let me take the, I'm going to take the port off and see what is going on, basically. The reason why M92 T36 might be blowing on this is purely because of the fact we have a bad port. And maybe previous Joey just didn't put 2 and 2 together. I could also be wrong, of course, but it's worth checking. Could just put the port on wrong. Let's have a look. Traces are fine. Traces are really good, in fact. Let's go with another port. Usually I tin the pads, the pins, sorry. And the reason I tin the pins is to make sure that it has a solid bond, but because I'm doing this rather just like nifty quickie, to be fair, These are all good. I'm gonna heat it up to clean. You might be like, what, Joey, what are you doing? Makes life easier. Before I go ahead and put M92T36 on, I'm just going to test and see what it looks like, because it might not show as how I want it. What I'm going to say is really weird here, right? This might be because it's the type of port. You might be like, what, Joey, what are you talking about? Well, this is an 08 H21. Sometimes they don't work on the mechanic reader because the pins are too short in there, but enough for charging. Let me put M92T36 on and see what reading I get then. Does hot air gun blow cold? It does, but I don't use it. You don't really want to introduce cold to the board after you've blasted it with heat. You want it to get down to temperature naturally, because, I mean, a little bit is fine, but you don't want to deliberately put cold air on, I don't think, because that is when you can potentially do things like warp the board, etc., you know? Biggest bit of flux just came out of the syringe straight onto the port, and you guys know how much I hate flux on the port. If it's still the same reading, I'm going to highly put it down to the fact that the pins on the port are just too short in here, which will be fine for charging. Yeah, it's exactly the same. I think the pins are too short on this. D plus and D minus are here and here. So let me measure there and there. D minus, I'm sure, should not be 0. I'm sure D minus is not 0. This one's still got an APU, so technically you should still get D plus, D minus. So I'll measure here and go here. Yeah, look, that's D minus. So D minus here, 0.76. Here, 0.75. And that doesn't come from port, that comes from something further. That goes straight to APU. So I actually think APU is causing this one to blow the M92. Because if I measure here, I don't get D minus. I don't get D minus. Now D minus goes straight to the APU beyond this filter. And if I measure top side of filter, I still get nothing. So I actually think the APU is busted on this, which is what's causing the M92T36 chip to blow. Now, technically, this could be a good candidate for an APU swap. Because if the APU is bad on this and is causing M92T36 to blow, I can just replace the APU on this with the other one that I have, and technically we should be all right. So what I'm going to do is remove the APU from this and then see what the situation is. Could it be a complete utter waste of time? Yeah. Is it possible that the APU is what is blowing this M92T36? It's pretty good if you ask me. I'm just going to smooth it out. All pads actually look okay if you ask me. I don't see one ripped pad. And that's a good job. The only slight bit of solder mask that I see that's come off of here is here. But that's fine. I don't need to go over that. Everything else looks groovy to me. Nice and clean. This is the APU from this board. Clean pull. Was the APU itself just faulty? I'm going to check and see if I still get a reading here, because if I do, happy days. If not, then I don't know what I'm to do next, to be honest. So I measure here and here. 44. 3015. 30. So I'll go on to DC plus or minus, open line, 0.01. So there's nothing there, because it goes to the APU. Just a quick shameless plug. If you don't know how to use a multimeter and you're looking for a fundamental cheap course that will help you with that, for $25, I've just released exactly that. The school is free to join, so you can check out the 3 steps into repair, as well as grab yourself a copy of Sally's spectacular spreadsheet. I'll leave a link down below in the description. It's school.com/JDT. If I plug our meter in now, just to see what happens after I've removed the APU, we're going to be missing a lot of rails. Pretty much the exact same. Just wondering if the issue is APU related. I would go ahead and say probably not if I'm getting the exact same readings on that port. I don't think putting an APU on this is going to fix our issue. I think there's something else on the port, on the board that is causing our issue with M92T36. Yeah, not even broken trace, because I think there's a couple of issues around, which is why I don't think a broken trace would blow M92T36, you see. Because the thing is, like, I also have to think logically. Like, if I go ahead and replace an APU on here, think about how long that will take. And then to find out M92 just blows, and then I also risk potential damage to the APU, because I don't know if that's been damaging this APU, you know? The M92T36 blowing might have been damaging the APU, I have no idea. So I think I keep this one as parts. I don't think it's worth the risk. I'm going to take off the M92T36 and salvage that, because I know that that's good. It's come from a different board. Whereas the M92T36 I've taken off of this will go in the bin. But I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I then have this. Remember, I have this. I'm going to keep this here, this APU and this eMMC together because I need to move on to another board. I need to find a Nintendo Switch board that I can use as a donor to transplant an APU, which I'm not too sure if it's going to work because the APU might have the fault in the APU rather than the actual donor, than the actual board itself. So, is this one going to be a faulty APU? Let's see. Yes. Okay. That's a good one. This is the one that had a bad cap and it just needs a little bit of a clean. To confirm, the reason why I'm using this board is purely because of the fact we have a short on the dreaded quote-unquote APU cap, which is this bad boy right here, which usually means that we have a bad APU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the APU from this board. I'm going to transplant the other one onto here with the eMMC. Oh, this could be interesting. There's flux under this one. That smells like stereo as well. It's stereo flux. Looks like I may have tried to do an APU transfer on this before. Right, here we go. Let's add some leaded. I'm pretty sure this is already leaded, but I'm not going to take that risk. So I'm just applying a leaded. Looks like it's changing the colour of the solder, so I don't actually think it was. Could be wrong, though. Now I'll come in with wickety wick, 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 wick. Okay, that should be that. Looks like a nice clean pull to me. That's fine. How's that? That's not bad, hey? Looks decent to me. No shown copper either. We took it nice and slow, as you saw. That looks nice. And then this area, for example, to show you, is one that's not being cleaned. So just look at this area right now. I'm going to come in with some hot air. Watch this. So I'll come in with the hot air. I don't, even for this part, I wouldn't necessarily say that I need hot air, but I'm just going to come in with hot air in case there is any residual flux just in and around that area. So come with some hot air, not too much. Drown it with some IPA, and I'll give it a nice clean with the toothbrush. Clean toothbrush. That's one thing you got to mention as well, is that this isn't a fluxy toothbrush other than what I'm using it for now. It's not a fluxy toothbrush. And then any components that were going to come off would come off if I give it a nice clean. Look at that now. You see? Clasp still good. I would say that you do have to be careful with the clasp when it comes to the microfiber cloth method, because this could potentially get torn off, I think, very easily with the microfiber cloth. I guess maybe I just got lucky, but as you can see, this was a very, very fluxy area, and now it's pretty clean. I haven't done over here. You can see that I've got probably a little bit of flux down by the RAM ICs, and this area again, for example, I won't even use hot air for this one because that looks like just a little bit of thermal pasta has leaked over here. This is one of my donor boards that's been sat around for ages, so I'll give this a little clean. Microfiber cloth with the brush on top, just so we still try and get in some of those crannies if we can. See that? It's nice, eh? It's nice. And then this is the area, as you saw before, it wasn't looking great, and now it's looking all right. So that's okay now for a transfer for the APU. So now I just need to rebuild the actual APU itself. Just got to remember that's the one that I'm using and not get confuzzled, you know. And now I need to actually rebuild the APU. That would obviously help a tremendous amount, wouldn't it? So where is, okay, APU and the eMMC is here. Oh, I tell you what I should do actually first is check that the short on the cap has gone, right? So let me check that the CPU short has gone from this cap. So multimeter in continuity mode. And what I'm going to do is simply measure from ground to the positive side on this cap. Okay. We still have a short. Maybe that's got something to do with it, hey? Maybe that's got something to do with it. Wait there. Wait there. Wait there. Wait there. Wait there. Could have been a short. Was that causing our issue? Could I check this before placing an APU on? No. Okay. I might just inject on this and see what's getting hot, because there's no APU now. It's got to be RAM. It has to be. 28 milliamps. I'm pretty sure it's a 1.8 volt rail. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's a 1.3. I'm pretty sure it's a 1.8. So I'm going to go 1.8, 46 milliamps. That's not going to be enough to show me anything. RAM! You weren't useless. Wow, the fault with this one was RAM. I don't believe it. You guys see that dot? You see that dot right there? That's the bottom RAM module, 46 milliamps. 46 milliamps, you were good to me. You were good to me. So let me test my theory then in that case. RAM, you're coming with me. Let's see how our short goes. Right, let's take this one off. I can still smell the stereo. I can smell the V3 on this stuff. I need to concentrate here. And this is why. Hold. Hold. There's caps on the inside, just over here. So if I was to, for example, if I was to try and, which is where you've got the most room, by the way, if I try and leverage this from this side, I'm going to have a hard time with the caps because I'm probably going to knock the ram into the caps. So that's why I've had to go from this angle. Let me just make sure I don't have any shorts here. Yeah, there is a couple. I see a few solder balls down on the right as well. I wonder if this is something that I've tried to replace before. Did I hit that cap? Yeah. Caps off placement a little bit. It's just going to annoy me. Let me put it back. Okay. Please hold. Ram's looking great. This area anyway. Cool. Right. Short stay in or short gone? Let's have a look. Multimeter continuity mode. Wow. Look at that. Wow. 700. And climbing. 758. 800. I believe this should be 400. So we're going a bit too high. But that's because we don't have the RAM module actually installed. But the short that we had on this Nintendo Switch is quote-unquote resolved now. I'm still happy to go ahead and transplant the APU that we had from the other Nintendo Switch onto this one, but it does mean that I have to do a RAM stick as well. But again, I'm okay with that. I might quickly just get this ready now and prep it just while the board is still a little bit warm here. So again, trim your wick. Cool. A little bit of scrapage, but it doesn't look like it's revealed it too much, so we're okay. IPA in the brush. Yeah, that's okay. A few scratches from the knife, but all right. So let's do. I'll probably do APU first, to be fair. Why? Don't know. First off, leaded, and now with the wick. Cotton swab. I'm rotating the cotton swab here as I go. Just to make my life a little bit easier. Then once I get the majority of the flux off, I can be a little bit more hands-on with it. So I'll now come in with my brush, and there's APU again. Tiny bits of solder, probably like a little bit up here, which I could get rid of. A few little bits. Now it's going to be a little bit rockier because I haven't got it in the holder, so I do need to bear that in mind as well. Fortunately, I do waste a lot of these balls, but I use them so rarely that it doesn't necessarily matter. I don't have one of the jigs that like puts it back, you know. I'm now just using the light as reflection to see if there's any others missing, but I think we're good. All right, so this is where it could go absolutely wrong. I'm going to go 300 degrees Celsius, 60% airflow, 50% airflow, 30% airflow, 30% airflow, 30% airflow, but this is the part that we love to see. So the stencil's starting to come up right now. So I'm going to come in with my tweezers, just give it a little bit of a hold down. Whoop! I hate it when it does that because it's magnetic. It literally sucks in the tweezers. Now we come in with the flux. Blast. 60. Airflow. I see balls merging. We have a little situation where I think there's two things that have gone wrong. One, too much flux. Two, the balls hadn't molten yet and stuck to the PCB of the chip. I wonder if these two will play ball now or whether they're still going to be a pain. If they're still going to be a pain, I'll worry about it after. But I'm intrigued. No, I think they're going to be okay. We shall see. There she goes. There's a couple of areas whereby there's been something and it stopped it from... I think it looks like thermal paste, allowing solder to transfer over to the board. So we got one here, we got one here. That's fine. I'm just going to go for a reflow now that I've got it out the actual stencil itself, okay? And now I'll let it cool for a sec. Give it a nice clean with some IPA and a toothbrush, and then replace those two missing balls that I think we have. I never want the chip holder too tight, which is why you can see it's actually quite loose now. One there. One there. So around about, it'll be about 10% this time. I might even have to put it lower, we'll see. So I'm looking at here and down here. Still 300 degrees Celsius, by the way. Just waiting to see those balls sit on the pads. So it's gone dull grey now, and now I think I'm ready to add flux. And give it a little reflow. So what I'll do is I get a little gloop of flux just here and here. And I'll go for the reflow now, just in that area. There we go. There we go. You see them both move into place, that then you might not have caught it. Any reason for not using solder paste? Yeah, it's just because I feel like with balls, you can get a more accurate depth per ball, you know, like they're all going to be the same. If I was to go ahead and use paste, which I've done before, which there's nothing wrong with using paste. I feel like if you want to be quicker, you can actually use paste overall. But I also then spend a lot of time afterwards trying to make sure that everything's even. That's that. I also now need to get the same RAM module stick thing that I have here off of Adonna. And we're going to have to play the fun game of what stick can I use. So this is a what? We should go straight wick. So for this IC, for example, I could use the small switch stencil and just go with paste because it's a small IC and I think we'll be all right. This might fail miserably, by the way. Here we go. Please. Quick reflow. Bang. I put a little bit of flux here. Let me get this in position. We're going to go 430 degrees Celsius, 50% airflow right here. Let's put this on. You see that? I don't know if you guys saw. That was lovely. All right, and we just move this over very slowly and carefully. And I'll do this. A little bit, not too much. Here we go. Ready? Let's go. You guys see it move? Turn that bad boy off. Did you guys see that? Okay, so I just want to kind of reconfirm exactly what it is I've done. I've taken a Nintendo Switch APU from a faulty board that I believed had a faulty board itself rather than the APU being at fault. However, I could be entirely, completely wrong. I also found out that this board had a faulty RAM IC. So I've also swapped out the RAM IC. And what I need to find out now is if I get 470 milliamp draw straight away. If I do, we still have an issue with this board. If not, we're going to be good to go. Let me just quickly check and see if I've got a short on this capacitor. I didn't check when I put the RAM back on. I should have maybe checked that before I put the APU on as well. But I like to sometimes do things moronically, and this is definitely one of those things. So let me check. If I have a short on this cap here, it's game over. Let's just put it that way. And all of this would have been a waste of time. I say a waste of time. It was nice to get some practice in. Let's see. If I get a beep on my multimeter, it's all been for nothing. 3, 2, 1. Okay. This is good. This is really good. Because this was also going above 1,000 ohms before. So we've put on this bit of RAM, and this is now stabilized at around about 480. It's going up ever so slightly. That's really nice. We've put the APU on. We do not have a short on this cap, which means that the APU is okay, supposedly, quote unquote, unless it's got like some internal damage. And this RAM stick we have replaced successfully. I do have a couple of other things that need to be replaced on this board if we go ahead and decide that it's going to work. For example, P13 USB. I've got the fuel gauge missing down here as well. I know whether I'm going to move forward with this board or not in about 3 seconds after I've tested if it goes straight to 470 or not. Here we go. Port on this board is dodgy. The port needs changing. Is the first thing I'll say. Oh, it only works one way. So that's got to be M92. Oh, man. Yeah, because if I push up, look, if I push up, it works. I don't know if that's going to be an okay read or not. Wait there. 480. But it's gone straight to 480. Now I'm at 15, 0 amp draw. So the port's dodgy, which needs to be changed, as well as the fact that the fuel gauge isn't currently on the board, which is a bit strange to me that I get 480 milliamp draw with the fuel gauge not being present. That is a little bit kind of alarm bells, because I thought that it wouldn't work at all, but lo and behold, maybe it is okay, and it's just going to be a bad read on the actual battery. But I need to put a fuel gauge on. P13 USB needs to be put on, as well as I need to sort this connector. In terms of getting the switch working, port change and fuel gauge. Once I do those two things, we can then test this board and see if it actually works. But at the moment, we get 470 milliamp draw straight away, which is the same fault as what it had previously. So it's not great. I don't believe the APU is shorted, because what I expect to see on a shorted APU is roughly about 80 milliamps. And I'm not getting that. So that's really, really good. But I do need to put the fuel gauge on and change the port to just get a bit more of a consistent read. If I do that and I still get 470 milliamps or 480, unfortunately, it's probably going to be bad APU. But I'm actually happy that I managed to replace this bit of RAM, because what I should have done is kept this APU on and removed this bit of RAM first, because maybe I could have got this board working if I removed and replaced the RAM correctly. Because I think the solder jobs that I've done have been absolutely fine. I need to see whether it's going to be a blue screen of death. So I actually need to go ahead and plug in backlight as well as the LCD ribbon cable on this motherboard into the chassis, because I didn't do that before. 3, 2, 1. The backlight's on, isn't it? Oh, no, wait. So we're not even getting initialization on this switch. I swear I saw the screen go a different shade of black. But there's no backlight, so that can't be possible. No, I don't think I did. Oh, wait, no, it's not working. Oh, yeah, the port's messed up on this, isn't it? I remember. Wait there. Is that why maybe I didn't see the backlight? Wait there. Because the backlight maybe did come on. No backlight. No backlight. 477 milliamps. Straight to 477, so I don't get a display. Why is this little chip getting hot? I know exactly what chip this is, by the way. I've had them faulty before. Tempted to replace that because I know what they can be issues. I know they can. Should go into place now, watch. Wow, I think I got that pretty good placement. And usually I don't add too much flux under, but for these ones, they're a little bit of an exception. Should be good. 3, 2, 1. Wait. Dodgy port. Same issue. No, I don't think the port is... I mean, the port needs to be replaced because it's not a very good one, but I also don't think it's responsible for the issue that we're currently having. Whoa. Okay, that jumped very far. I don't know if that's in the right place. I have no idea. That's missing a resistor, bro. Was that there a minute ago or not? Or has that just never been there? I'm missing a resistor. Yeah. What happens now? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we still have this is still our random horrible little lines that we don't like. So no change, by the way. See if it jumps straight up. Still jumps straight up. I'll just hold it and see if I get a boot. I don't think I will. No, exactly the same. Yeah, still exactly the same without eMMC. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I called it there with this one. I think I just put this in the Don Air pile and we call it good. But I definitely tried with this. I put a lot of time into it, and I have to also ask myself at the end of the day. I know I get content, so you know it's easier for me to do because I get the content out of it, and I'm able to stream and make money from the stream, etc. So no, it's not time wasted. But I'm getting bored of this one. But I feel like it's the APU on this. But I'm still getting the same symptom even from the other board that I had. That's a very good point. I'm getting the same symptoms from the other board as what I do with this board, and I transplanted the APU from that to here. So I actually think it's APU. I do think it's APU. Well, we gave that a good run, but like I said, I feel like it's the actual APU chip, which you can't really do much about, unfortunately. As for the Profit or Loft spreadsheet, all I have to do is add a big fat 0, unfortunately. And hopefully we can do better next time. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, I shall see you in the next one. Peace.